Hello, hello, hello. This is Tony Moore. Just wanted to come in and have a conversation with regards to the StartRight Business School, and we're also doing the StartRight Formation. So, with regards to the StartRight Formation, we're definitely going to cover the business building basics, identify key contract provisions, explain the difference between employer, contractor, and interns. We'll discuss intellectual property basics and talk a little bit about discussion of tax strategies. Great thing is, if you're a part of the StartRight Business School, you're going to be able to walk through each and every one of these particular quadrants as we continue on. Okay. So if you have any business questions, that I always ask is, what problems are you solving? Because here's the thing, when we're talking about formations, not every formation, i.e. business entity, is right for you. If you have a charity in your heart, then you definitely do not want to do a standard C corporation. If you just want to do it all by yourself without deferring to a board, then you will be looking towards a limited liability company. And if you just wanted to work with maybe your sisters, your cousins, your girlfriends, your family members, but you do wanted to definitely do it the right way, then you're looking more like either a limited liability company or a partnership. About me, I'm an attorney, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a business strategist. I live every single aspect of me helping people know the rules, know the power plays, know and appreciate what I call the business rules of engagement, help them to spot the issues. I know not everyone is going to love the law like me. I know not everyone is going to start reading on the different cases and what the judge saw was the main issue, what the rules were, what his reasoning was, so how he analyzed the case and how he came through his own conclusion. But I know what I know, and I know that not everyone can retain an attorney or a Tony Moore to help them 24/7 with their contracts, with their decision makings, or with their determination of how they can negotiate a better deal or to get themselves out of a deal. But here's what I know is that law pervades everything. And when you know better, when you can appreciate better, when you can make the right moves, when you can make the right decisions, when you are right in your own ownership of who you are, what you can do, then guess what? It's going to be less likely that you're going to be played in your business. I mean, ultimately, we want to run the right business so that we can run a business that we love as opposed to a business that ruins us. My why. So my why, as you can see, I'm an African-American woman. I am getting closer and closer to 50 every year. As an African-American woman, I just remember like a long time ago when I was a child and I was on the poor side of the street, not the poor. We didn't have an option. We didn't have resources to help us level up. So I was on the poor side of the street. And I always wanted to know what it would look like on the other side. I just figured that if I knew better, if I had more money, if I had more access, if I had more assets, if I was surrounded by the right people, my life would be better. So I got a chance to, spend most of my childhood in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And then I spent 3 years over at the Milton Hershey School, which completely changed my life, gave me a glimpse of what other people did in their lives and how the way I grew up was not necessarily normal with I had already known. From the Milton Hershey School, I went to the University of Penn. From the University of Penn, I went to Temple University Law School, and from Temple University Law School, I went to a couple of law firms and governmental agencies. And then I also helped build and work on a few boards and also help other people start their businesses and things of that nature. I actually flipped and flopped around a few law firms and worked in a few businesses until I got it right. Like what you know when you know. And once you know better, you definitely do better. But the thing that really jabbed me was that I had two sisters who died from domestic violence. One of them, I really did think that she would ultimately start her business. The other one, I really, really did think that she was going to start a singing career, and she didn't. They both passed away, unfortunately. But I met other women with gifts and talents and, wisdom beyond their years. I met people who had like so many goals and had started businesses, but ended up in bankruptcy or ended up losing it from because of a misunderstanding or not being protected or not knowing the rules or not knowing the right strategy partner. And something inside me, I did not like it. I know some people are like, hey, it's life. I'm not my sister's keeper. And I'm not my sister keeper, but I'm a bold strategist. I'm a business strategist. I have the wherewithal. I have the knowledge. I have the wisdom. I have the understanding. I have many years of experience helping people to just spot the issues, take the emotions out, spot the issues and understand how they can level up their playing game, spot the issues and appreciate the different resources that are out there. Right. So I was just like, you know what? We can't get it. We can't keep being plagued by this game called business. We have to know the rules. And I used to complain, why is it that everyone feels like they're experimenting as opposed to experimenting the best thing of their life? So before I know it, I was complaining. I was talking to a couple of my supervisors when I was at the U.S. Department of Labor doing forensic accounting and doing compliance reviews and enforcement procedures. And I said, why aren't people telling the small businesspreneur, like, why aren't they at least letting them know of the rules? Why is it that it's always, we start, we stop, we fail, we start, we stop, we fail? Why can't we just know the rules, know the expected, and learn the steps and just go forward? Now, this is my hypothesis that if people really know better, then they do better. I really believe that. And so this is my why of starting the StartRight Business School, because I feel as though if you can know the steps and then you can plan for success and you can make the right moves and put the right modalities in place and understand what the right mission is for right now and how you need to take it from where you are to where you need to be legally, of course, then you're not always going to be part of that status quo where the 3 to 5 people who start a business end up selling their business within the first 3 to 5 years. Or some other people are in the other category where they're sentenced to 40, 40, 40. They spend 40 hours, 40 years of their life, and then once it's all said and done, have to figure out how to survive off of the 40% of their income that during their earning years they made. I'm like, I think because we're brilliant, I think because we have wisdom, I think because we started a business, that we did not want to always be part of the 40, 40, 40 club. And I don't think that we want to be always limited to the status quo or our reality. I feel in my spirit that if we really did know better, that we really would do better. So here I am, starting to StartRight Business School, just on my podium, on my pulpit, even with the Coaching Women for Success, just giving them the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding to at least spot the issues so that they don't get destroyed by what they don't know, but they can play better. So when we're talking about playing better, these are the business building basics. You either have a sole proprietorship where it's just you, yourself, and yourself. You have a limited liability company wherein it could be just yourself, or it could be yourself and some friends, or yourself and some business partners, yourself and a nonprofit and a for-profit. The sky's the limit with regards to a limited liability company. Even if it's yourself or your trust company that's working with your nonprofit company, which is also working with a holding company. That's how fantastical it can be. Then you can have a partnership, whether it's a limited liability partnership or a limited partnership. Those are based on conversations that you have with the individuals involved. Then you can have an S corporation or a C corporation. The S corporation only has funding with one set of shares, and it's usually a closed corporation where they don't go public. There's no more than 100 individuals who are members of this corporation, right? And with the S corp and the C corporation, we also have a board. Now, what's not on here is the nonprofit, because the nonprofit is also a corporation. But because most people bifurcate that in StartRight Business School, we don't necessarily delve on it. Not that I don't know it, because I've been teaching nonprofit law since 1997. I just carve it out. If you know someone who needs to know more about nonprofit law and governance and monetizing their mission of the nonprofit, feel free to send me an email and we can talk, because I do have the nonprofit boot camp and we cover a whole lot of the nonprofit legal issues and management issues in dealing with a nonprofit. Now, I get this question all the time. Tony, I started a business. Where can I find funding? I started a business. Where can I find funding? Well, you can get your funding from your family members. You can have friend lenders. Uh, Venture capitalists usually play in the lane of the C corporation. Angel investors, you can see angel investors. Sometimes they want to gift. I think it was Venus. Her sister decided that they wanted to do an angel investment fund for women who are starting a business, so you can definitely, an angel investor does not want any shares of your company. They just want to bless you. Of course, there is a contract. You have to abide by the contract, and you will be regulated by the contract. But once the contract is over and said and done, you're good. There's crowdfunding. You probably see it a lot. My husband has a friend who was making good gobs of money all over the world. And he had just recently turned down a contract to work with someone because I guess he just got tired of always having to live in his suitcase and not being near his family and his children. So he was just like, I'm not going to do it. He decided that he wanted to start his own business. And he went on a crowdfunding site. Now, be careful with regards to the crowdfunding site because you always get who you are. So if you are starting your business, like, can I have some money, and you're begging for money, then you're going to attract people who are asking for money, begging for money, or want to barter your services for something that's on the low end. Whereas if you're like, you know what, sometimes I'm going to have to get my business funding from my family, my friends, from a loan. Some people, I didn't put it on here, but there's a lot of people who started with credit cards. Hello, it's me. Started with credit cards and business loans, but those are business funding as well. You can have shareholders. Caution with regards to shareholders. If you did not do an IPO, which is the initial public offering of your shares of your C corporation, then you have to be mindful of selling a security that violates the SEC rules. Okay. SEC requires that if you are going to sell shares of your company, then it has to be registered. Now, you're talking to your girl right here who just really, really loves corporate structuring. So I want you to know that one of the things that you can do is have a subscription agreement, right? I wrote one up for a limited liability company. They did not want this person to come in necessarily as a member, nor did they want to change their operating agreement so that they could change it up so it can be a managed run LLC, limited liability company. So we crafted a subscription agreement so as not to violate the SEC rules, just so you know. You can also get money find funding through a limited partner, and limited partners, once again, it would be a limited partnership agreement. You can bring in one other person, two other people, three, 4, 5. The sky is the limit. You just definitely have to put things in writing with regards to your limited partners. You become the general partner who makes the decisions. You would have a limited partnership agreement. It almost think about it like a real estate investment trust, an REIT. So it would be a limited partnership agreement where you're saying, hey, this is the money, this is what we're going to do with it, this will be your investment, this will be your turnaround, and then we can do this for a year, we could do it for 2 years, or we can just stop. And but it has to be an agreement. Sometimes you're going to hear me say this is not a do-it-yourself option. This limited partnership joint venture is not a do-it-yourself agreement option. You definitely need to know what you're doing. You definitely need to understand who's going to be the power player, who's going to be the general partner, if there will be limited partners, and ensure that you don't violate any of the SEC rules where you're selling shares without registering your shares and your interests. Then you can have the non-management members. And the non-management members of an LLC would essentially contribute to your company, but they don't have any voting power. Now, there aren't too many people who's going to sign that agreement without some level of voting power. So even when you're thinking of them, just think, okay, what can I allow them to make decisions on so that they can feel that they are being a part of the business without being pimped by the business, right? So I want you to definitely consider all of that when you are trying to find funding for your business, okay? So when you're finding funding for your business, I want you to definitely think of this. And then I want you to remember that, the sky is the limit, but you definitely want to write a contract to protect your assets. in writing a contract that protects your assets, always remember contracts are an agreement between two or more individuals, and it outlines the terms, it outlines the conditions, it outlines the considerations, the jurisdiction, and the indemnification clause, right? And so when you're contracting with two or more, you definitely want to get the person's main name. They're not going to give a social security number, but if they give you a social security number, great. If they have a business, then get their business EIN number, get their address, outline what the promises are, what the terms are, whether or not they have to be exclusive to you or they can work in addition to you. Also, with regards to what conditions are going to be set, is it going to be like, we're going to do this for 6 months, conditions with regards to you have to bring in a certain amount of money, conditions with regards to you have to do this amount of sales, conditions with regards to don't use my information as part of the NDA clause. You can put all of that into your contracts, whether it is a coaching contract, whether it is a a joint venture contract, whether it is, a service agreement, work for hire contract, even with regards to, I don't know if you do this, but I tell people all the time, everybody needs a contract. Even your interns need a contract. So I want you to definitely be mindful of the fact that with contracts and things of that nature, that you get a chance to protect that, right? Excuse me, with regards to your interest in your business. So always think of that. That's one of the things that I want you to be mindful of. Also, with regards to your business, I want you to be mindful of the fact that there's employment laws, right? Employment laws. And when we talk employment laws, especially when we're talking in a StartRight Business School, I really need you to know the difference between an employee, a contractor, and an intern. Like, here's the thing. You cannot play around with that, because an employee is someone who you can pretty much say, I need you to be here at this particular time, at this particular day. I need you to expend this amount of time. You cannot work with other people. You cannot conflict my schedule with other people's schedule. You cannot do other people's work. I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to give you the worksheet. I'll even give you my customer list, right? But I'll even train you and I will pay for it. That's an employee. I'll give you some benefits. I'll give you some money. Whereas a contractor is like, hey, you own a business, I own a business. You have what I need to contract with you what I need. So if you're contracting for a specialist, if you're contracting for a marketing sales director who's outsourced, if you're contracting for a cleaning person, if you're contracting for an attorney and you're like, I would love for you to be part of our governing agreement, general counsel, virtual general counsel, what have you. But we can't afford to have you 24/7. But, you're a business person, I'm a business person. Let's work out a deal. Let's work out the agreements. Like I said before, with regards to, we'll have the terms, we'll have the conditions, we'll have the promise, we'll have the indemnity clause, we'll have the, I will pay you at this particular time, right? And then lastly, an intern. Let me just say, if you're thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna get me an intern, I don't have to pay them. Always remember that if there is control, that's a problem. If you're not giving them some sort of benefits, if it's all about you, if you're hiring an intern to replace an employee that you cannot afford, then that can be a problem, okay? So when you're dealing with an intern, you be like, well, how can I bless this person? How can I help them in their business? How can I give them the skills, the realistic skills that they can then leverage once they get out of school? Okay, so if you can do that and without paying them, that's great. Just make sure that the main beneficiary of this agreement is the intern. So once again, the employee, you have control over it. You can have, or her, him or her. They usually do not have a business. If they do, they have a side hustle. They may not even have told you about it. When they know that there's a conflict, they know that you are the sole source of their money. So they are not going to conflict with what you do by working with your competitor or sharing that information, because they know that they'll get fired. They also know that they have access to the equipment, your software, your research and development, even maybe some money. So you need to be cognizant of that when you're hiring or when you're making the distinction between an employee, a contractor, and an intern, okay? More importantly, there's also benefits. With a contractor, they want the benefits of getting a sizable check and they will pay their own taxes. With an employee, they're like, no, I don't want to pay my own taxes. I want somebody to do this for me.
Whereas an intern is like, oh my God, I just want school credit so I can graduate. Oh my God, I want this experience. Oh my God, I would love to be able to sit at the, and be your student mentee person where I get a chance to go to the meetings, say nothing, take notes, get feedback and things of that nature. It really depends on what you're offering these individuals and these people. Copyright. So copyright is a legal protection for the person who uses their brilliance to create products. Right? So when you have a copyright, then you are definitely offering people, an opportunity to use their brilliance to create products, create curriculum, create art, paintings, books, anthologies, recipes, you name it, they've created it, and they get a chance to protect that. I always want you to remember, in copyright world, it's the person who creates who gets the comfort of having the peace and knowledge of wisdom of being able to sell their creative works, to be able to differentiate their creative work, the opportunity to pretty much parse out their creative works and give some to one person and some to the other. The beauty of a copyright, once it's registered, the term of years is it's like life plus 70 years. So it's the life of the artist plus an additional 70 years. Now with Copyright 101, there's so many different things about copyrights that you're going to know about, especially in the StartRight Business School, because I need you to be understanding and knowledgeable about copyrights and how you can turn around and make your copyrights. I work a lot with musicians, I work a lot with singers, I work a lot with people who understand that their profitability is based on their rights of publication. It's the publishing rights. Oh my God, the publishing rights manifest much. So if you are going to create it, then you need to register it, especially in these days, right? When you're going to have to create it, then you're going to have to register it. Always remember, if you do not create, then you have to have a copyright agreement or a work for hire agreement where the other person is knowing that, hey, you created it, but you created it for me. You use my resources, my wisdom, my understanding, my feedback. So I want you to give me an agreement that says whatever you created on my behalf is mine. And if you hire somebody to do it and you don't have it, then you're looking at a copyright assignment. That's what we'll talk more about in our StartRight Business School, the copyright assignment, meaning that the person who created it, since the law protects the creator more than the receiver, then we have to have a copyright assignment so that these individuals would know that, hey, this is mine. This is mine. I can register it. I can protect it. I have the publishing rights. Now I can differentiate. I can then turn around and license it to others. I can replicate it. I can make my coins off of it. Always remember, the beauty of a copyright is that, you created it, so now you're supposed to protect it. And not only that, but because you have the power of protecting it, then you have the power of licensing it and the power of replicating it. Now, a copyright is different than a trademark 101, okay? So a copyright is different than a trademark. I need you to understand that, because sometimes people don't understand the difference between a copyright and a trademark. But a copyright is something that you created. You created it, you manifested it, whether it is a recipe book, whether it's a coloring book, a book, curriculum, whether it is photos, photo spreads, copyright. If you are a choreographer and you copyrighted your choreography, those are all registrations that you have to file to protect. Whereas with a trademark, you're looking at trademark is to me, is your identity. I look at it more like a tattoo on your product or service. You're the business owner, whether new or old, you need to have the ability to be distinguished. So when you have a trademark, you're having a business name, a logo, a design, a sound, something that differentiates your product from other people's. And when you have something that's distinctive, not copyrighted from somebody else, not, oh my God, I like theirs, I'm gonna do it too. No, it's something that is fanciful, is distinctive. It's something that is arbitrary, capricious, so much so that, but for you, they would have never even said the words. That's how good a trademark is. And I even say, go even as far as to, have your trademark so awesome and amazing that is something that you could license to others. And that's how you can either franchise your brand, or you can create chapters with your trademark. So that's what a lot of nonprofits do. That's what a lot of business entities do with regards to, they have a trademark. They even certify other companies. They start businesses with their trademarks, and then they turn around and franchise their brand. They turn around and use a business certifications, all of that good stuff. So when I talk trademarks, I'm not just talking about just protecting your brand name or logo or title. No, I'm talking about how you can then turn around and use it for good, use it to the best of your ability. It's so amazing. And don't forget the opportunity to franchise your brand. But, you know, if you need more information, you know, StartRight Business School, we have a whole conversation with regards to trademark. This is just the overview. So with regards to that, let's also talk about business torts. Oh my God, Tony, what do you mean business torts? Let me just tell you, when I was in law school many, many years ago, like I graduated over 21 years ago, we talked about torts. We spent a whole like semester just talking about torts. And I need you to understand that business torts can be very costly in your business. So I don't want you to be naive with regards to these business torts. It could be like defamation. You can be like, you know what, these people are liars and deceivers. They don't do real money moves. They're just talking thin air. They're just selling the sizzle. Even if you believe that that is true, then hopefully you have some information to substantiate your claims. If you don't have information to substantiate your claims, do not defame others. Even disparagement. Some of the contracts I've created, especially when the coaching contracts, we have a non-disparagement agreement. Whereas if you get ticked off, if you get upset, I didn't help you walk on air or walk on water, that you're not going to turn around and go on social media and talk ishness about me. You know, that's a disparagement, and you don't want a disparagement, because when you have a disparagement and you're saying, oh, she's no good, oh, she's a liar and deceiver, oh, she didn't tell me this and or whatever, then you can disparage someone so much so that other people don't want to do business with them. And once you do that, you're looking at more either as an intentional or a negligent interference with contracts. And the laws does not like that, because we all have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I don't know about you, but you know, even in the Bible, there's an acknowledgement that money answers all things. So if you snuff out somebody's money, then more than likely you're going to snuff out their ability to be happy and going to travel, and happy in buying cars, and happy in with regards to houses. You get it. So I don't want you to always think that you can just be flippant just because someone is ticked off. Emotional distress is when you are causing so much duress that people don't understand, that you're that you're hurting their feelings, that you're always telling them, oh, you better do this, you better do that, or I'll call the police on you. Don't do that, okay? Because that's illegal and you'll be on the other side of the law. And you don't always want to invade other people's rights, like digging in their trash and trying to find something to establish that you're not the liar and deceiver, but they are, right? Because when you start invading other people's privacy, because you wrote a book and you want to tell your side of the story, I need you to understand that everybody has their own right to privacy unless they're a public person. If they're not a public person, then if it's that juicy, and if you watch Queen Sugar, you don't want to be dropping that kind of stuff, because one, somebody might try to punch you in the face. Two, maybe people will retaliate. And three, maybe you will end up on the other side of the court with a negligence, a business torts, lawsuit against you, you know? So always be aware that there is that whole, we call it the balancing of the scales. That's why when you talk to an attorney, you say, I want a right answer right now. And we can't give you a full answer because we don't know the other side of the story. We don't know what happened. We don't know if you had an eyewitness. We don't know if this was ever tried in court. And now you have court transcripts to substantiate. Without substantiation or documentation of substantiation, then I want you to tread lightly on your First Amendment to speak and your First Amendment to live your life without any boundaries. But I need you to also understand that we always want to do the balancing of the scale. So if you don't have the right start, the right substantiation of documentation, you don't have the witnesses that will back you up wholeheartedly. And as a former trial attorney, I'm gonna tell you right now, people say anything to get you out the room. But when it comes to litigation, when it comes to them swearing or affirming and then being under attack and under duress and being under a microscope, a witness, and maybe an investigator looking to see if they're aligned, it could be a problem. So I really want you to understand that it's a business, but I want you to understand the business rules of engagement, okay? Also, with regards to business contracts, I want you to also think the business rules of engagement. Number one is to protect your assets. Number two, always remember she or he who controls the contract governs the contract. So if there's a service contract, they will govern it. They say, hey, if there's a violation, then you owe me this money. If there's a violation, we're going to arbitration. If there's a violation, then we're going to go through, alternative dispute resolution. The person who creates the contract gets to dictate. They even dictate the jurisdiction. Is it going to be in Pennsylvania where I sit? Is it going to be in New Jersey where I also practice? Or is it going to be in West Caltuna? So you always have to be mindful of the fact that there's different jurisdiction clauses. And with the different jurisdiction clauses, I want you to know that we put that in there because if there's ever a dispute, we want to bring somebody to our jurisdiction. Okay. So with regards to the service agreement and independent contractor agreement, terms and conditions on using your product, your brilliance, your intellectual property, you need to set terms and conditions, because I already know people who say, oh, I used their coaching stuff and then I gave it to a friend or I sold to a friend. You might want to be like, this is for personal use only. And if you want to sell it to other people, then you need to let me know about it, because this is not for sale or resale. Did you ever look at that? I want you to look at that. Even terms and conditions with regards to if you have a membership, hey, you can use my PowerPoint slide, you can use my check sheet for success, but you can't then turn around and use it as your own, because this is my intellectual property. So you have to be cognizant of that. Even terms of use on my online, terms of use with regards to my group, terms of use with regards to, what I say, what I do, my image, don't be taking pictures of me and then perping like we best friends or we doing joint ventures or something like that, or that I'm your attorney. Somebody, she got a form contract and she said, well, can I tell people that I'm your attorney? Technically, no, because we didn't sign any general counsel agreements or anything else like that. You just, got a form agreement. We had a strategy session, but if you get sued, you're going to have to retain me. We're not friends like that. But I need you to know that. Then there's a copyright transfer. Sometimes people transfer the copyrights to others. Sometimes they'll assign it for to a certain amount of time for it, And then there's always the trademark license agreement. Oh my God. Right now, I know some people who are going through pretty soon a horrible litigation. They had it before and then it came up again. So with regards to the trademark license agreement, if you own it, then I want you to be cognizant of the fact that you can have a license to allow other people to use it or not use it. Okay. So with regards to that, and that's your moneymaker, when people violate your terms of use and your terms and conditions, they turn around and violate it and they try to play you. You can put a stop and a kaput on it. But these are, we can go on and on. We can have joint venture agreements, we can have subscription agreements, we can have different work for hire agreements, we can have business coaching agreements, we can have ghostwriting agreements. If it's something that I tell people all the time, you making money, I'm making money too. If you have an agreement, let's have an agreement, because when two or one come together, sometimes confusion, chaos, and catastrophe will be. But you can always prevent it or diminish it, or you can, what we call in law, mitigate your damages by understanding that sometimes you need to have a moment to sit down, have an MOU, a memo of understanding of, hey, when we work together, this is how I'm going to work. These are my terms. What are your terms? And then you just put it in writing. I'm telling you right now, if people don't respect your agreement, do not work with them. If people don't want to put their agreements in writing, do not work with them. If people only want to show you their understanding, but they don't want to negotiate the terms, be wary of them, okay?
This is a review of the Start Right, Get Right School. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us soon.
My final questions to you would be, did you start right? Did you start right? Even with this overview, did you start right? And if you didn't start right, do you need to get right? So if you started right, then that's kudos for you, because we have more information to provide. If you need to get right, then we have more strategies that's there for you, or you can do it yourself, or sometimes you can just outsource it to general counsel. Alrighty, so I hope this was good information. We are going to keep plunging through this information so that we can start our business the right way, so that we can get right in the right way, so that we can monetize our brilliance in every way possibly, legally, of course, so that we can up level to the next next level. So that we're not always going to be stuck in the beginning stages of our business, but we can up level to the next level. All right, because there's no limitation. There's no limitation when we have brand domination, when we have the documents in place, when we know who we are, who we can help, what we can do. All right, so this is Tony Moore. I thank you so much for allowing me to help you.